Stop this marriage! The voice didn't sound human. It sounded like thunder underwater. The church doors blasted open. Bang! Wood cracked. Wind rushed inside like a storm. Candles went out. Flowers fell. The white wedding veil flew off the bride's head. Guests screamed and ran. Then something impossible happened.
You are chosen.
Water began to flow into the church, not from the roof, not from pipes, from the floor. Clear river water slid across the tiles like a snake, rushing straight down the aisle, straight toward the altar, straight toward the bride and groom. The billionaire groom grabbed his bride's hand. "Amara, what is happening?" She couldn't speak. Her heart knew, before her mind accepted it, because she had heard that voice before, years ago, at the river, and then she stepped inside, a tall woman, barefoot, skin shining like moonlight, hair long and heavy like wet silk. Her white cloth floated around her like water waves. Every step left puddles. Yet she was dry, too beautiful, too calm, too powerful to be human. The priest dropped the Bible. Who are you?" The woman's eyes glowed blue. "I am the river."
The river claims its
Silence
own.
swallowed
You are
the
chosen,
church.
bride.
She lifted one finger and pointed at the bride. "And that girl is mine." Gasps exploded around the room. The groom froze. "What do you mean yours?" The river goddess took one step closer. "There is a mark on her body, the mark of my covenant." She smiled faintly. "Shall I show you where she promised herself to me?" Amara's legs nearly gave way, because she remembered everything, the day she made the worst promise of her life. 10 years earlier. Back then, life was not beautiful. Back then, there was no favor, no luck, no blessings. Only hunger. Amara grew up in a small riverside village in Anambra. Their house leaked when it rained. Her father had died early. Her mother sold vegetables by the roadside. Some nights they slept without food. School fees were always late, shoes torn, clothes faded. While other children laughed and played, Amara worked, fetched water, carried firewood, helped her mother cook. She was tired of being poor, tired of watching her mother cry at night, tired of hearing, "Maybe next year will be better." Next year never came, but she wasn't alone. She had her older sister, Chioma. Chioma was bold, sharp, the kind of girl who didn't fear anything. One evening, after another day of hunger, Chioma whispered, "There's a way out." Amara looked up. "What way?" Chioma glanced toward the river. "You know the old stories. It's about the river mother." Amara's heart skipped. "Those are just tales." Chioma shook her head. "No, Mama once told me. Our grandmother did it too." "Did what?" "She went to the river and asked for help." The wind rustled the trees. Even the crickets seemed to go quiet. "They say if the river mother chooses you, you will never suffer again." Amara swallowed. What does she want in return? Chioma didn't answer. That scared her more, but hunger is stronger than fear. That night they sneaked out, moon high, sky dark, no lantern, just the sound of insects and flowing water. The river looked different at night, too still, too quiet, like it was watching them. Chioma held her hand. "Whatever happens, don't run." They stepped into the water, cold, but not normal cold. It felt alive. The current suddenly stopped. Everything froze. Even the wind. Then the water rose, not splashing, not breaking, rising smoothly like glass, forming the shape of a woman, tall, beautiful, terrifying. Her eyes shone blue like deep water. Her voice was soft but heavy. "Who calls me?" Amara's knees shook. Chioma pushed her forward. "She needs help," Chioma said. "Bless her. Let her life change. The goddess studied Amara, long, silent, then smiled. She is special. The water wrapped gently around Amara's feet, warm now, comforting. You want beauty? The goddess asked. Amara nodded. You want favor? Yes. Wealth? Yes. Doors opening for you everywhere. Tears filled Amara's eyes. Yes, the goddess stepped closer. But nothing is free, child. Her smile faded. You will never belong to any man. Amara blinked. What? You will be mine. Ah, forever. The river tightened around her legs. If you marry, the man dies. Her breath caught. That is the price. Silence. Kioma whispered urgently, just agree. Think of Mama. Think of school. Think of our future. Amara's heart pounded. Marriage felt far away. Love felt like a storybook thing. But poverty was real, right now. I agree, she whispered. The goddess touched her side. Fire burned through her skin. She screamed. A glowing swirl mark appeared near her ribs. Sealed, the goddess said. From today, the river walks with you. The water dropped. Everything returned to normal. Crickets, wind, night, like nothing happened. But Amara knew something had changed forever, and as they walked home, she didn't notice the faint blue glow still pulsing on her skin. Back to the wedding, the river goddess looked at her now. Same eyes, same voice, same power. You promised me, she said. The church trembled. Priest, stop this wedding. She raised her hand. The bride's gown began to soak, right where the mark lay hidden. The cloth darkened. The symbol started glowing, bright blue, like a brand, proof, ownership. The groom stared in horror. Amara, what did you do? And the river goddess said softly, if this marriage continues, she looked straight at him, you will die. Then the lights went out, and something heavy fell to the floor behind them. Someone screamed, Jesus! Who fell? Phones turned on at once. Flashlights shook wildly across the walls. White beams jumped from face to face. Crying, panic, running, the sound of people pushing chairs. Then one light stopped, locked onto the ground. Tunde. It was the best man. The beam revealed him, flat on his back, not moving, eyes closed, still, too still. The world stopped for Amara. No, 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 no. She dropped beside him, lifting his head into her lap. Tunde, wake up, please. Nothing. His body was cold already. Her hands trembled as she pressed her ear to his chest. No heartbeat. The river goddess spoke from the darkness, calm, cold. I warned you. The water on the floor began to spread again, slowly circling the altar, like a snake tightening around prey. If the marriage proceeds, he dies. Shut up, Amara screamed. Shut up. She hit his chest. Breathe, Tunde. Please breathe. The priest rushed over. Move. Let me pray. He placed his hand on Tunde's head. In the name of Jesus. Suddenly, Tunde's body jerked. He coughed violently. Water spilled from his mouth like he had been drowning. He gasped. Air. Life. Back. The church erupted. He's alive. He's breathing. Amara broke down, crying. She hugged him so tight he winced. But the river goddess only watched, unmoved. That, she said softly, was the first strike. Silence fell instantly. She stepped forward. Each step made the water rise higher. Next time, there will be no return. Tunde slowly sat up, confused, weak. What? What happened? You collapsed, Amara whispered. He looked around, saw the water, saw the glowing woman, saw the fear on everyone's faces, and then he understood. This is about you, he said quietly to Amara. Her lips trembled. She couldn't lie anymore. Yes. The word barely came out. The river goddess lifted her hand. "Tell him," she commanded. The mark on Amara's side began to glow again, bright blue through her wet gown. Guests gasped and stepped back, like she was contagious. Tundi stared at the light. "What is that?" Tears streamed down her face. "My mistake," she whispered. "My past." "Speak louder," the goddess said. "Let all hear the truth." Amara felt her chest tightening, but she had no choice. "I made a covenant with the river when I was young." Murmurs exploded. "What? Covenant? With a spirit?" "I was poor," she cried, "hungry. My family was suffering. She promised to change my life. She did. Everything I touched worked. Everything." Her voice cracked. "But the price—" She looked at Tunde. "I was never supposed to marry." The church went silent. "So if you marry me," he said slowly, "I die." She nodded. The river goddess answered for her. "Yes." Simple, final, like a judge. Lightning flashed outside the windows. Thunder shook the building. The doors suddenly slammed shut. Bang! Bolts locked themselves. Guests ran to push them. They wouldn't move. "We're trapped." "The doors won't open." Water began rising faster now, ankle deep, cold, pulling at their feet. People screamed and climbed onto chairs. Children cried. The choir started praying loudly, but the river kept rising. The goddess looked only at Amara. "You belong to me," she said gently. "Come back now." "And he lives." She extended her hand. "Refuse, and watch him die slowly." Tunde stood up, even though he was shaking. He stepped in front of Amara, protecting her. "I'm not giving her to you." The goddess tilted her head. "Ah, you are brave." Then she snapped her fingers. Tunde suddenly choked. Like invisible hands grabbed his throat. He fell to his knees, gasping. Amara screamed, "Stop, stop, please." "Choose," the goddess said, "now." The mark on Amara's side burned like fire. Her skin felt like it was tearing open. The water climbed to their knees. The guests were shouting prayers. The priest was crying. Everything was falling apart, and the goddess's hand remained stretched out, waiting for Amara to take it, or watch the man she loved die right in front of her. Tunde looked up at her, struggling to breathe. "Don't go," he rasped. Her heart shattered, because whatever she chose, she would lose something forever. Then suddenly, the water behind the goddess began to spin, faster, forming a whirlpool inside the church. And from inside it, shapes started rising, dark shapes, like hands, like faces, like spirits coming out of the river. The river goddess smiled. "My children are hungry." The water swirled around the altar like a living storm. The river goddess stepped closer, her glowing blue eyes fixed on Amara. "Child, you cannot escape. You belong to me." Amara's hands shook, but her voice rang out loud and clear. "No," she screamed, "I don't belong to you. I never truly understood what I was agreeing to. I was young. I was ignorant. I was desperate." Her words echoed through the church, bouncing off the walls and mingling with the rising screams of the guests. "I made that covenant out of fear and love for my family, not because I wanted to belong to you. I won't let your chains define my life. I love him, Tunde, and that is my choice." The water around the altar began to rise, higher and faster, but Amara stepped forward. Her eyes burned with defiance, her body trembling yet unyielding. "I reject you," she shouted. "I reject this curse. I reject your ownership." For a moment, there was silence. Even the whirlpool seemed to pause. And then the river goddess moved, faster than anyone could see. A bolt of supernatural force struck Amara squarely in the chest. The sound was like a tree snapping. Her body stiffened. She fell backward, hitting the floor with a heavy thud. The church went dead silent. No screams, no prayers, nothing. Amara lay motionless. Tunde screamed her name and rushed to her side. "Amara!" he yelled, shaking her shoulders. "Stay with me." The guests froze, eyes wide in terror. The river goddess's eyes glowed brighter, almost pleased, but calm as ever. "I warned her," the voice echoed. Tunde's hands trembled as he lifted her lifeless body into his arms. Guests scrambled to clear a path, chairs scraped the floor, people shouted prayers. Tunde ran, every step heavier than the last, every second stretching like eternity. Amara's body was limp and pale, but Tunde didn't let go. He raced through the rain-soaked streets, ignoring the chaos, ignoring the wet floors, ignoring everything except getting her to safety. And as he burst through the hospital doors, cradling her like she was the only thing that mattered in the world. The silent pulse. The doctors rushed forward, their shouts fading into a dull hum in Tunde's ears. As they pried her from his arms and wheeled her behind the double doors of the emergency room, he collapsed against the wall, his wedding suit ruined, his heart hollow. He looked down at his hands. They weren't just wet with rain. There on his palms was a faint glowing blue residue. Suddenly, the hospital lights flickered. The overhead sprinklers began to hiss, dripping water onto the linoleum floor. In the reflection of a puddle at his feet, Tunde didn't see his own face. He saw the river goddess, her finger pressed to her lips in a chilling command for silence. Amara wasn't just unconscious, she was being pulled back to the depths, and the hospital was no sanctuary for a soul already claimed by the water. Amara chose love, but the river never forgets a debt. Can a human heart break a spiritual seal? Or has Tunde just carried a corpse into a building full of innocent people? The water is still rising, and the real battle for Amara's soul has only just begun. Do you believe love is stronger than an ancient blood covenant? Drop a part 3 in the comments if you want to see if Amara wakes up, or if the river goddess is coming to claim the rest of the hospital.